What's up? Welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm Austin Hancock, real estate investor, prior Marine, and we are back in Oklahoma, where I'm originally from, and we are looking at properties, checking on some of our properties. These are rental properties, contract for deed properties, seller financing properties, and just showing you guys a little bit more of what we're looking at when we're here. Now, if you don't already know me, we live in San Diego, California, but we're here back to our hometown where I'm from, originally grew up in, and looking at a lot of our investments that we have. So stay tuned and check it out. Oh. That guy just crashed out on his bike. I think he's hammered. Oklahoma. You know, so many people think there's so many bums in California, and there are bums in big cities, but there are so many damn bums right here in Oklahoma as well. I mean, downtown San Diego is just as gross as downtown Oklahoma City. Hey, this may be a good one to buy. Who knows? So when you're cruising for houses, stuff like that is a red flag. And this one right here is just getting flipped. You see the sign in the yard. You never know what you're going to get. You want property that needs help a lot of times. And if you're adding value, you're cleaning things up, you don't have to do a ton of work to make the property in good shape. Sometimes all you have to do is clean the bushes and just give it a little TLC, tender love and care. And you get the property back up, and you can turn around and either keep it in your rental portfolio, which, as I talk to you guys a lot, doesn't make a lot of cash flow, but is more of a long-term wealth play, equity play, and tax deduction play. But you can do other things with these properties besides hold them as rental properties, because rental properties in general can become a huge pain in the ass. Alicia, would you agree?
Yes.
She manages a majority of our portfolio now, or all of our portfolio, with our bookkeeper and the rest of our team. And but properties like these can be really good seller financing deals. What do? You carry the loan for people. So you buy this thing, clean it up, get it in good shape, good condition, and then turn around and sell it and carry the loan. So if you have a bank loan of, let's say, $100,000 or even $150,000 on that house, but you can sell it for $200,000 to somebody else, you have a bank loan, and then you turn around and sell it at a higher rate. They put a down payment, and then you're also, let's say you pay 7% interest on that property, but you're going to sell, when you sell it, you're going to charge 12%. What's the going rate right now, Alicia?
11.5, 12.
Yeah. Okay. Because the interest rates are high for everyone, 11.5, 12%. So you're usually about 4 to 5 points above what you're paying for those. And you can do that way, which is a seller finance transaction. A lot of those are called contract for deeds. You can Google those and look them up. And then there are lease options, where you're literally leasing the property out with an option to purchase the contract. And so those are two separate contracts you're going to sign with somebody, but it's called rent to own. A lot of people have heard about rent to own. A lot of people want to buy rent to own. And it's a win-win situation. For people that really want to own a property, they have this stigma that they need to ownership, and maybe they should buy a property. The money's better off going towards something that will help build them equity. This is their whole entire life in their savings account. Then what that does is allows them to lease a property, and they exercise the option at the point of whatever that options contract reads, right? However you write it up. I got a dresser in this lawn. And they usually pay 3 to 5% of the purchase price in order to get the option contract. So you can make a little more. It's not just a deposit, it's an option contract. They're going to pay a little bit more than rental rate. Why? Because they have the ability to purchase the property, and they're going to prove that they can make these payments. And what else is another benefit for a lease option, Alicia?
I mean, it's like think of it as like dating, right? So to make sure they're a good fit. I mean, especially if they don't have a lot of proof of income, it's really good to jump into a dating relationship first before they're married to the house, to the contract, because it's harder to get them out.
Bingo. You know, when you got the Crown Vic up on blocks, you know it's a good one. You know there's renters there. You got the AC units and the windows. We got a neighbor taking care of their property. Oh, this one right here. All right, good example. This house right here just needs cleaned up. There are probably a lot of other cosmetic things that it needs. You gotta have to check the HVAC, you gotta check the mechanicals. There's obviously no maintenance that's been done on this property. But what you wanna do is you wanna find out who the owner is, get in touch with them, knock on the door, send letters, whatever you can do. But these are the types of properties that, from the outside looking in, without stepping into this property, would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, you could tell they probably don't have very good AC.
Oh, a lot of these have window units, and these houses originally had central HVAC. So that means that they just don't maintain it, they don't care for it, probably renters or just cheap landlords. And then every once in a while you'll get somebody that's probably an owner, and you can tell when they take care of their property quite a bit more. Sad, but a lot of tenants, especially in this market, just don't end up taking care of their houses well. Now, higher end leases, which are uncommon in Oklahoma, like where we are in San Diego, people lease properties for, you know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. Those people take care of their properties a lot more. Why? Because they have the money to spend on those types of properties, and they don't care, and they do take care of those properties. All right, so that wraps up this video. So what I'm saying is you guys can buy properties that are in affordable markets like Oklahoma City, like Kansas, like Missouri, Texas. There's other markets besides the East and the West Coast that you can buy property in that is more affordable, and what you do with those properties ultimately matters. You can flip these properties like I have in the past, and you can make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on these properties in a good market, or you can keep these properties and seller finance them, carrying the loan for other people, just like I talked about earlier. Or then again, you can do a lease option. So you don't just have to buy and hold property. There's many strategies, and depending on what your objective is financially, where you're at with your capital, what you can do, what your capabilities are, is what strategy you need to apply, right? If your company needs more money, if you need more liquidity, then you probably want to try to sell it. But having contingency plans on properties like these, meaning if I can't sell it within 60, maybe 90, 120 days, then I'm going to turn it into a rental and refinance it and keep it and put it on a 30-year fixed debt. Or I'm going to turn around, put it on 30-year fixed debt, and I'm going to sell or finance it for somebody else, or put it on a lease option. So you have to have contingency plays. I talk a lot about being risk averse. Real investors are risk averse. They understand what to do, they understand how to structure it, they understand how debt works, they understand their properties, they understand exit strategies. They don't just build something new and hope that it sells. That's just a lot of new contractors, a lot of general contractors, and a lot of people talk about in new construction. So when you're an investor, and people ask this other question a lot, it's probably a whole nother video that I'll have to create. It's like, what type of investment should I jump into? And I hear people say, well, I see multifamily. I'm ready to just go freaking balls to the wall. I should be in a commercial. Should be in all these types of things. That's not necessarily true. If you can't even get a couple of single families, if you don't even understand how your transactions work on single families, then how do you think you're gonna go do a $5, $10, $20 million deal? You're gonna go raise other people's money with no education, no network, and no experience? It's not gonna happen. So the best thing you can do is start with these, get your feet wet, get the debt down, get the reps in, and then build up. And some people stay with these all the time. They continue to do single family for a very long period of time. Why? Because it doesn't cause that much of a headache, and they can do single family just like I do. Now I have commercial and I have small multi as well, but you can make that choice when you get there. But when you have single family, you can pretty much do these once you have done it a dozen times. You can do them from wherever you want. You can live in San Diego and do these deals in Oklahoma. You could be wherever. And so as long as you have a team and a network, just like I show you guys in the Apex Elite group, then that's how you build it out. You build like your base of people that you can rely on, and you don't technically have to walk through these properties. I just wanted to show you guys today the type of market that's here and what you can do with the opportunity that is around you. Now, if you're on the West Coast and you're in California and you're in a more expensive market, you still have the opportunity to purchase properties like these. And the numbers and the way we crunch numbers is the exact same as we would right here. We just are going to be analyzing different numbers, because affordable housing on the West Coast, places such as San Diego County, Orange County, LA, San Francisco, etc., are completely different. Even certain places in Texas and Austin, Miami, Florida, Boca Raton, all those places, affordable housing around those areas is completely different than affordable housing here in the Midwest and the South, right? So, but if you're trying to wait and hold on and you're in those markets, then you should start in other markets like this. Just get your feet wet, or partner with somebody that has the capital and has the wherewithal to be able to withstand and stomach a $500,000 affordable housing price, which is in those markets. Whereas here in Oklahoma, you're probably talking a lot more of $250,000 and below. Some of my properties are even $100,000 to $150,000. And so it's a lot easier to stomach with a little bit of cash in your wallet and some experience that you need. And once you build that experience, you're gonna get better lending. That means you get better funding. That means you get easier money. And then you're gonna have some assets that you have this knowledge base with. And so you can just change the digits on the freaking spreadsheet. Once you understand it on a $150,000 house, you're gonna be able to stand it on a $1.5 million property or deal, right? Not single family. If you're doing that high caliber, you don't really want to do it. But then again, certain places on the coast, entry level, 1.5. Doesn't mean it's the best thing. So you need to decide what you want to do. And that's what I said a second ago. People still do these all day long. Why? Why wouldn't you? Because if you could own 100 of them, 200 of them, 300 of them, or even just go back and let's say you own 20 of them that cash flowed you $500 to $1,000 a month in positive cash flow, would you be able to retire? Would you be able to quit your job? Would you be able to live where you wanted and you just had little houses like these? Absolutely. That's exactly what I did, and that's the reason that I was able to move to San Diego without worrying about the cost of living. And it's just a math game. How many properties do you need in order to get out of your own way and be able to quit your job and be able to go all in on something like this? Or maybe you love your job, you love what you do, maybe you're an entrepreneur. How much would you need to not have to worry so these properties cover your baseline? All right, guys, I appreciate you. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on this channel. I'm gonna be pumping out a lot of educational content and a lot of content in general. So any questions, comment below. Again, Austin Hancock, I appreciate you guys.